All right, welcome to this next video on using Melco Design Shop here at the Hive Makerspace. Today we're just going to talk about some supplemental material for if you have to make modifications to designs that you've digitized or you're trying to digitize something from scratch. So for instance, we digitized this Charmander in a previous video, and it generally looks pretty good, but let's say we wanted to reduce the amount of colors we were using, and we've got this object for the front of Charmander here, and we've got this object here, and we've got another object here at the bottom. We've got three different objects. Let's say we wanted to represent this just as one object. We can actually combine objects. So if I click on one, control click, click on the next, control click, click on the next, I've selected all three objects. What I can do is go to up here, combine elements, click that. It's going to combine them into one shape, which I can create one color out of. It saves us on time when embroidering. It makes sure that we don't have any seams, and that might just look a lot better for our apparel. Let's also take a look at some of these edge stitches that it did not seem to digitize very well. So I can see that there's this probably a single line center stitch that was drawn here, but it didn't connect all the way. So I'm going to delete that. Well, I don't know if I want to delete that one as well. Let's just delete this one and let's draw our own stitches. So I'm going to take my single line center tool and I'm going to go from here and I'm going to use kind of my curve tool to follow a curve down this way with a bunch of lines. Let's say we're just following the center here. And normally I would go all the way around, but let's say that this is good enough. So we've got our fill stitch right there. You can see it fills in more, or sorry, it's a satin stitch filling in the edge. You can see it fills in, I think, a thick enough amount so that we don't see any gaps in our material. If we wanted to change the width, we could increase it here. So let's just say we wanted a much thicker line. We increase the width like that. And then we can go in, also right click on our color here, change the color to be that black. It's a slightly different gray, but I'm not going to go and find the exact color right now. But that's generally how you would go about that. And then, of course, you would want to fill these in as well. So if you need to make any modifications to existing lines, for instance, this one's not very thick. And I would want to definitely increase the thickness of this line because you can see that it doesn't look great. There's a gap here. So that's just an error with the digitizing. It's not perfect. So you would want to go in and fix that. So let's also talk about if I wanted to make this from scratch. Now, if you could do this, it would probably take you a little while, but it can be done. I can't say if it would look any better than the digitized file, but it's something you can try. If we were going to do this from scratch, your strategy would be to really just trace out all of these designs and then make holes as necessary. So what I would do is probably do a complex fill, go around the entire edge of Charmander here, and then create holes for each of my individual elements, like the mouth, the chest here, and the flame on the tail, and probably wherever I have a color that's not orange. So the eyes, I would create holes for that. And then in those holes, I would put in whatever fills I need. So that's something you can do. I'm not going to do that right now. There's plenty of videos available on YouTube about manually digitizing designs that you're welcome to look at. It can be a complex, time-consuming process, though, so be warned. All right, I'm just going to talk through a couple of the other tools that are available to you. I'm going to close this because I want to show you how to get to it. If you're drawing simple designs like a circle, a star, rectangles, things like that, there is a library of custom shapes here that you can look through. For instance, I want, a star or a heart or something like that, and I can just drag it into my design here. I can change the size of it. You can change it normally like this, or if you want to hold your dimensions, hold on hold on Alt, and that'll constrain it to the same dimensions. And you can change your colors, you can change the stitch type. This little black dotted line represents our stitch direction. So if I click on Insert Stitch Direction, I can modify that stitch direction manually. A couple of the other basic tools that might be useful is if you click on a design and you want to center it, you can click on center design right up here, and that's going to center it on our grid that is defined here. You can also click on toggle expanded points and get rid of the show stitches in 3D. And what you'll be able to see here, these expanded points, each plus sign is actually a spot where the needle is going into the fabric. So that might be useful for you if you want to envision your density. So for instance, if I change my stitch density and I decrease it, it's actually going to increase the density of all these plus signs. So just be mindful that you're going to have needles, much more needle insertions into the fabric. So that might damage your fabric if there's too many, or if your stitches are too close together and you're sewing on top of each other, that could be an issue. So just be mindful of that. Let's go back to our Charmander here. Let's say this has been completed and we want to actually send it out to the Melco OS software. The next thing that you're probably going to want to use is the tool that allows us to check if our design fits inside the hoop that we're embroidering with. So I'm going to go and click Display Currently Selected Hoop, and it's going to show me the hoop that we currently have selected. If I right click on this, I can change what hoop we want to use. So for instance, I'm using the Mighty hoop, but we can change to whatever hoop we want to use. Let's say we're using the round hoop, and I'll click OK. Now we can see our design is way too big for this hoop. So we're going to need to shrink it down. I'm going to click Control A to select everything. And then while holding Shift to constrain my dimensions, I'm going to shrink our Charmander down to what I think will be a good size to fit inside the hoop. And there we go. It all fits. Everything looks good, and we will be ready to embroider. Thank you for watching this short video series on using Melco Design Shop here at the Hive. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to ask. We are always here to help.